Hello and welcome to the Beyond Biotech podcast number 130. I'm Jim Cornell and this is the weekly podcast from Labiotech. Today's podcast is brought to you by TCR Solutions. TCR Solutions is a full-service clinical research organisation that specialises in early-phase oncology studies. Focused on the SME biotech sector, their service is tailored to fit the needs of each individual sponsor and each individual study. Their unique approach to managing hospital sites makes them ideally qualified to deliver complex oncology projects. To learn more, go to tcr-solutions.com. This week we're talking about tackling solid tumours with CatalYm, whose lead candidate, Visugromab, is a monoclonal antibody that neutralizes the tumor-derived growth differentiation factor 15, a locally acting immunosuppressant fostering immunotherapy resistance. To tell us more, we have a conversation with Eugen Leo, Chief Medical Officer at CatalYm. To get started with the interview, I wonder if you could first tell us a little bit about the company.
Yes, I'm very happy to do so, Jim. CatalYm is developing Visugromab, a first-in-class anti-GDF-15 antibody in solid tumors. We identified a new role for GDF-15 as a locally acting immunosuppressant, which is secreted by tumor cells, fostering immunotherapy resistance. These initial findings were published in Nature Communications in 2023. In our first-in-human phase 1/2a study, which is called Godfather-1 trial, Visugromab in combination with anti-PD-1 treatment demonstrated durable anti-tumor efficacy with deep and long-lasting objective responses in last-line anti-PD-1, PD-ligand-1 relapsed and refractory metastatic solid tumor patients. In addition, data from the same study demonstrated that Visugromab can significantly counteract the effects of cachexia in these patients, opening up further development considerations. The initial clinical data were recently published in Nature after being presented at ASCO 2024 and the 2024 International Conference on Sarcopenia, Cachexia and Wasting Disorders. Our company is based in Munich, Germany, and San Francisco, USA, and is backed by leading international investors. And we completed recently a successful $150 million Series D financing in July. This latest financing will fund our broad phase 2b program that we are currently unrolling in earlier treatment settings for non-small cell lung cancer and additional tumor indications, all hopefully launched within 2025. Based on the outcomes, we hope to bring this quite promising new therapeutic concept to patients in need as soon as possible.
Before we get to talking about what you're doing in the space in a bit more detail, I wonder if you could give us a bit of background perhaps on solid tumors and why they're so difficult to treat.
Yes, absolutely. While treatment of many hematologic malignancies has made significant progress in the past decades, the success rate for the treatment of solid tumors, particularly in the metastatic setting, is still limited by several factors. First, you face complex genetic alterations, often polyclonal disease, and various tactics to suppress recognition by the immune system and other tumor survival strategies, creating an often very heterogeneous tumor cell collective that is quite hard to target with existing treatment options. These evasion strategies include the tumor microenvironment, where tumors can create an immune suppressive environment that prevents the body's immune system from attacking cancer cells, in example, by inhibiting the activity of immune cells and their ability to infiltrate the tumor site. It also includes further immune evasion and resistance mechanisms, where in examples, tumor can express molecules that mask them from immune cells and even create conditions that suppress an immune response from start. This can make immunotherapy, which relies on boosting the immune system of the patient, much less effective. Over time, cancer cells can also evolve and become resistant to the drugs designed to kill them, an example by genetic mutations, the ability to repair DNA damage, or regulating the efflux of drugs out of the tumor cell. In addition, side effects and toxicity of existing treatments can also unfortunately help solid tumors to survive. An example, off-target toxicity, so toxicity caused on non-tumor tissue, and any treatment-induced side effects can significantly affect healthy tissues, often limiting the treatment duration as well as the overall outcome and treatment success. In this context, I'd also like to mention cachexia, a cancer and treatment-induced condition affecting a significant number of advanced stage cancer patients. It is characterized by severe weight loss and muscle wasting, which leads to reduced quality of life and often limits the patient's ability to tolerate cancer therapies significantly. In summary, we simply have to see that solid tumor cells have developed a lot of mechanisms to evade cancer therapy and learned how to survive attacks by therapeutics and the immune system, particularly in advanced and metastatic stage. To effectively fight these metastatic solid tumors, we definitely need new treatment strategies that can overcome or bypass these resistance mechanisms.
You mentioned new strategies. I wonder, could you tell me maybe what the current treatments are that are being used for solid tumors?
Currently, the classic pillars of tumor treatment include surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy. In addition, we've seen a wave of novel targeted therapies emerge that have further expanded our options. Here we can mention antibodies, kinase inhibitors, and other small molecules. In example, kinase inhibitors can block specific molecules and pathways involved in the growth and survival of cancer cells. Just one example here are KRAS inhibitors. And other targeted therapies here can deliver, in example, cytotoxic substances directly to the cancer cell, talking here about antibody-drug conjugates, so-called ADCs. Another option that already exists, but actually can certainly be improved further, are immunotherapies that stimulate and enhance existing mechanisms of the body's immune system to identify and fight cancer cells. Here we talk about checkpoint inhibitors, which are on the market, in example, nivolumab or pembrolizumab, but also emerging cell-based therapies like CAR T cells, which have shown lots of success in hematologic diseases, but also now enter the solid tumor field. And there are also TCR receptor-based T-cell therapies, as well as bispecific antibodies and cancer vaccines. Our own program, Visugromab, operates, by the way, in this field of immunotherapies. It neutralizes cancer cell or treatment-induced GDF-15, which is secreted by a large group of solid tumors. By neutralizing GDF-15, we block its immunosuppressive and cachexia-inducing function.
Could you tell us a bit more about immunotherapy resistance and how that is being addressed?
The development of resistance to immunotherapies is a major hurdle in current cancer care. We can assume that at present only 20 to 40% of all patients who qualify for immunotherapy treatment also show a distinct response to it. And many patients treated with immunotherapies may experience a quite limited response duration and develop resistance over time. Resistance can result from many factors, including mutations or epigenetic regulation. In example, upregulated expression of GDF-15 by tumor cells can block the influx of immune cells into the tumor site and also inhibit their activation and activity. Options to counteract immunotherapy resistance include, in example, combining immunotherapy with other treatments, in example checkpoint inhibitors and chemotherapy, to tackle the tumor through multiple mechanisms. Modulating the environment is another option, in example by inhibiting or depleting immunosuppressive immune cells, talking about Tregs here, or inhibiting angiogenesis. Targeting resistance from multiple angles is in the end also what we want to achieve with our GDF-15 neutralizing approach, Visugromab. Visugromab blocks the impact of GDF-15 in various areas of the Melman cycle and basically reduces the impact of these immunosuppressive mechanisms.
Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about Visugromab and how it works?
Yes, Visugromab is a monoclonal antibody that neutralizes the tumor-derived growth and differentiation factor 15, GDF-15, which is a locally acting immunosuppressant fostering immunotherapy resistance. Neutralizing GDF-15 with Visugromab reverses key cancer resistance mechanisms to reinstate an efficient anti-tumor response by reenabling immune cell activation, immune cell proliferation, and this is then reflected by the induction of an Interferon-γ signature in the tumor microenvironment. In addition to its anti-resistance effect, Visugromab has also the potential to counteract GDF-15-mediated cachexia, and which can definitely severely impact a patient's quality of life and ability to tolerate treatment. Visugromab has demonstrated so far a very good safety profile in patients and quite durable and significant anti-tumor efficacy in these advanced stage last-line anti-PD-1 relapse refractory patients. We were quite impressed specifically with the significant number of complete and complete metabolic responses we observed so far, which is usually not seen in last-line cancer patients undergoing an experimental treatment.
Leading from that, maybe you could tell us a bit more about your clinical development program and what stage you're at with that.
Yes, absolutely. Visugromab is currently evaluated in an ongoing phase 2A program. Here we actually treat several solid tumor indications, and this program includes the Godfather 1 trial, which we published recently in Nature, but also a neoadjuvant exploration in so far untreated patients with muscle-invasive bladder cancer, the Godfather Neo-UC trial. And based on these promising interim data from both trials, we're currently preparing for the initiation of a broad phase 2B development program for Visugromab in earlier treatment settings, here specifically moving into first and second line treatment. And non-small cell lung cancer is here one lead indication for us, but we also launch trials in other tumor types within 2025.
And what would represent success for patients that are being treated with Visugromab?
Our mission here is to provide a clear benefit for patients by significantly improving treatment outcomes on top of a variety of existing standard of care treatments. And here specifically anti-PD-1, PD-Ligand-1 therapies, where we have seen significant activity in combination with Visugromab in our first in human trial published in Nature. We also expect that we can improve the quality of life and the ability to tolerate treatment for cancer patients by GDF-15 blockade, specifically here by impacting cachexia. The benefit so far we've seen has been highlighted by the induction of quite deep and specifically long-term responses up to complete responses in last-line patients that were relapse refractory to standard treatment, including anti-PD-1, PD-Ligand-1 treatments. And our latest clinical data now seem to indicate that we not only can achieve this part, but also should be able here to alleviate the symptoms of cancer cachexia. In summary, our goal here is to further investigate this dual benefit now in patients of earlier disease stages moving the program into first and second line disease setting and exploring this in several major cancer types.
And how do you see the future ultimately for people with solid tumors? Are there many new treatment options that you see coming through in the next few years, perhaps?
Yes, indeed. I think there is significant progress in many areas. And naturally, the overall goal within the biotech and pharmaceutical industry is to make solid tumors, in the end, hopefully, a manageable chronic disease with a reasonably good quality of life for the patients. In the best case, of course, we hopefully can even move to a place where we can provide a cure even in metastatic settings, but that still has to be achieved. In this context, refining targeted treatments will remain a major focus of the industry, specifically fighting immune resistance mechanisms that so far have limited the treatment success and response duration of immunotherapies. Including Visugromab, we see quite a few exciting new approaches currently being developed that we feel could provide meaningful improvements for patients. The focus will be on bringing multiple pathways together here and will continue, in example, with the potentially big impact currently anti-PD-L1 VEGF bispecifics seem to have. We have seen here quite interesting data at the recent ESMO conference. And this approach, an example of these bispecifics targeting PD-1 and VEGF dually, also addresses the tumor microenvironment by counteracting angiogenesis and the immunosuppressive mechanism of VEGF. And I think this overall highlights again the momentum we see happening again in the IO space, where for some years people probably thought after a number of failures that not too much progress is happening. But I think this has changed. We see now significant advances in several areas. And in addition, I would say we are also seeing a quite significant interest now in tackling cachexia, which is gaining attention as a major treatment limiting factor, as seen by recent data from Pfizer's ponsegromab program, which actually was published at ESMO last year and in the New England Journal of Medicine, as well as our own clinical data here for Visugromab that were published in Nature.
Is there anything else that you have at the company in the pipeline? And I guess where do you go from here with your existing projects?
Yeah, great question. And, we can say that Visugromab is in fact a pipeline in a product, because our approach is quite versatile. On one side, in regard to the combination options, providing the potential to complement many approved and upcoming cancer therapeutics, including, by the way, PD-1 VEGF bispecifics, ADCs, but also existing standard of cares like chemotherapeutics and antibodies. And this includes the potential to complement, in example, of course, the large checkpoint inhibitor market, where we see significant activity in combination, as Visugromab could enhance checkpoint inhibitor activity substantially here. But also enhancement of other oncology therapies, such as chemotherapy and ADC, seems possible. Furthermore, there are significant opportunities in the area of cachexia care, a condition that has a major negative impact on cancer patients. And taken together, our goal is here to provide a true clinical benefit for a broad and quite diverse cancer patient population, comprising of a variety of tumor types and disease stages, but also non-oncology indications of interest.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
This is really an exciting time, I think. Immunotherapy is moving forward boldly. We see a quite broad wave of novel therapeutics coming, and we're really grateful to be able to be part of this whole movement and to bring better therapies to patients. This is such a joy, and hopefully we can succeed here together with others in the field.
It's always good to hear about positive steps being taken to take on cancer, especially those cancers that are particularly difficult to treat. Just a reminder that this week's podcast was sponsored by TCR Solutions. Specialist CRO TCR Solutions has worked on more than 20 oncology indications and has developed first-class relationships with over 100 hospital sites globally. Their highly experienced team offers a flexible and client-focused service with access to their most senior managers at all times. Their lean infrastructure means that administrative overheads are low, enabling them to be highly cost-effective, whilst delivering to the highest standards of quality. To learn more, go to tcr-solutions.com. Alright, don't forget to check out the latest news and articles over at Labiotech.eu, and I hope wherever in the world you are, you have a great week ahead. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll join us again next time for another Beyond Biotech.